Looking for love in all the wrong places. Looking for love in too many faces. Searching your eyes, looking for traces of what I'm dreaming of. Oh God, it feels like 1981.
Hi guys, it's Ginger. I am here with another music review. This time we are going country, honey, country. Ugh. This is Johnny Lee. You Ain't Never Been to Texas. And it says, warning, real country music inside. And that ain't no lie. I love this. It made me smile. I've listened to it 2 times in a row. It made me smile. It's so great. It has a mixture of 80s type country music that Johnny Lee was known for. It has some Texas swing. It honky tonk music, twin fiddles, steel guitar. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Some of my favorites. I mean, he has got I'm having an eyelash issue here. He has got this wonderful, buttery, smooth, satiny, baritone sound. It's so good. So good. And he was at the height of his popularity back in the 80s. He already had a recording career and things like that, but his music was featured on the Urban Cowboy soundtrack, and that movie came out in 1980. I still got an eyelash issue here. And and the big song was Looking for Love, and that was Johnny Lee. And it just so happened that he was friends, co-workers with Mickey Gilley, who owned Gilley's nightclub, and that was the center of the storyline Urban Cowboy. And so he was I think he was in the movie. Of course, he had a couple of the really big songs on the soundtrack, and it's a terrific soundtrack if you haven't heard it before. The movie, now don't get me wrong, I will watch that movie every time it comes on. Just 'cause. But I feel like it stereotypes people who work in the chemical industry and who live in Texas. 'Cause, you know, a lot of people, when that movie came out, that was the only idea that they had of what it was like living in Texas, outside of, oh, everybody's got a horse and wears a 10-gallon hat. So now they think everybody goes to beer joints to dance and ride mechanical bulls and works in a chemical plant. So that's not necessarily the truth. And I know people who work in chemical plants, and not all of them go to beer joints. I work in a chemical plant, and I don't care for beer joints. And I grew up with, my dad worked in chemical plants, my grandfather worked in chemical plants and stuff like that. So, but it was a portrait sort of the time, because so many people were coming from up north and from other states to get work, because the chemical industry was booming in the late 70s and early 80s. So he benefited. Johnny Lee benefited. He worked with Mickey Gilley and worked in Gilley's nightclub as a performer and toured with Mickey Gilley for the better part of 10 years. I mean, they were so synonymous with each other that I had to double check, because I thought they were related to each other, but they're not. They're not related to each other. I looked it up. I couldn't find anything that said that they were related, just that they had worked together, because I was like, my goodness, because Mickey Gilley is related to Jerry Lee Lewis and Jimmy Swaggart. So I thought, wow, what a family dynasty if all those people are cousins. But he just toured with Mickey Gilley and stuff like that. So I love this. I've always loved his music. I mean, he was the hot ticket. He was, you know, as the kids used to say back then. He was a fox and things like that. So this is really great. It covers some of probably his Texas roots because he was born here in Texas. He has a Bob Wills tune on here, which I love this tune. George Strait covered it years ago. It's one of my favorite Bob Wills tunes. It's called Deep Water. It's a Texas swing. I mean, Bob Wills, he's the king of Texas swing. Then there's also another one that he covers. It's called What's Forever For. And let me look it up for a second. I think it's a Steve Wariner song from the 1980s. Let me look it up really quick. It wasn't Steve Wariner. It was Michael Martin Murphey. That was my second guess. Because I was playing it in my head. And I love that version that Michael Martin Murphey did. And I love this version that Johnny Lee did as well. So some of my favorite songs on here, I like Lonesome Love List. It's really good. His cover of What's Forever For, his cover of Bob Wills' Deep Water. I also love the title song, Never Been to Texas. And basically it says, if you don't believe in God, you've never been to Texas, because there's a lot of beauty here. And oh, I love Good Lovin' Woman Bad. And it's I Need a Good Lovin' Woman Bad is what the song is. It's really great. And I also like Bullets First. And, oh God, the whole thing is good. Worth Watching. Basically, it's about a man who has lived his life and wants to be sure that when it's time for him to die, it's time for him to go to his greater reward, that when his life flashes before his eyes, it'll be worth watching. Wish I could love that way again. It's about wishing that you could love purely like you did when you loved someone as a child, like when you had your first little childhood crush or something like that. How you loved that person purely and things like that. Love that song. I liked this whole album. It's really great. It's a mixture of the kind of music that I grew up listening to and grew up loving. Even though I love rock and roll and I love hard rock and I like metal and things like that, when I was a kid we listened to a lot of country music. I mean, when I was even a smaller child, I mean, my dad had Black Sabbath albums and Led Zeppelin albums and stuff like that. So I got a very early education on the harder music. But there was a time, specifically in the late 70s and early 80s, when country music was so awesome, with the outlaw movement and things like that. Traditional country music, which you don't hear much of anymore, that's what I grew up listening to. So if you enjoy that kind of music, if you're a Johnny Lee fan or anything like that, check this out. His voice sounds great, and I'm sure he's probably in his 60s by now. So check it out. Very, very good. I bought it on Amazon, so you can find it because it's on an independent label, I'm sure. It doesn't even say. Oh hell, he probably distributed it himself. Because I'm not even seeing a music label, which is fine. Hey, I'm all about independent. One of the best country records you're gonna listen to that will never get radio play. Just like the Loretta Lynn one. It'll never get radio play. Not on mainstream radio anyway. It might on satellite radio that you have to pay for. Anyway, give this a thumbs up if you enjoy these music reviews. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already so you can come back and sit for a spell, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
me smell the smoke and the cinder. Slick back his hair and open up his case. Ooh, I like this one.
Well, you look as sweet as can be. Come on down and drink with me.
Hey, bartender. Hey, bartender. Get 1 draw, 2 draw, 3 more glasses of beer. Ooh, I like this one too. Happens to walk in the room. Could have heard a heartbreak. You could have heard a teardrop. It's my favorite. Diamond of the desert. She's a golden flower spring. She's a yellow rose of Texas. She can make a man a king. Oh, yeah, it's getting good.